Please try again.
Beloved, please just give us some minutes. We're trying to get Mr. Bakare online, trying to connect him. I'm sure he will do so shortly. What they need to do, they have clusters. Okay, Aja and Lekki. If you look at all the
Good morning, everyone. Apologies for being late. I had to rush down from Washington State. I went there to perform my civic duty, and I had to leave as early as 5 a.m. If I knew, I could have maybe stayed back to coordinate this. Sorry about that. Well, my aim is to educate the youth based on my practical experience. First of all, my name is Sir Oladipo Bakare, the Group Managing Director and the CEO of Dipson Group of companies. This includes, but not limited to, Dipson Plastics and Recycling Plants Limited. This is a plastic packaging company. And we produce films for multinational companies like shrink films, stretch films. We do lamination and printing. And also among the group is Dipson Haulage and Logistics. Like we all know that the major problem we have is a peculiar problem among industries in Nigeria is how to move our goods from one location to another. Unfortunately, the only way that we convey these goods is through road transportation. 80% of the goods are being moved on the road. So this is our strength. And we go across the country, even up to up north. We move goods from Lagos and other locations to Yola, Michika. Yola and Michika, they are just overlooking Cameroon. We go to Bauchi, we go to Port Harcourt, we go to Benue, we go to Katsina, and so on. And then again, another company is Grand Milia Hotel Limited. This is a hotel that's a purpose-built hotel to serve Pan-African University. And that's what we've been doing for the past 13 years. We have another hotel ongoing in Osun State. This is in collaboration with the state government, and it's set to be commissioned by either second or third quarter of 2023. Osun State government are the stakeholders. They have a 40% stake, while we control our 60%. And then again, another company in the line is Pipeline Global Trading. This is a trading company that deals in oil and gas and renewable energy. In the oil and gas sector, we trade in LNG, which is liquefied natural gas, CNG, compressed natural gas, CO2, that's carbon dioxide, food grade, precisely. And also we deal in products like AGO, DPK, and PMS. On the renewable energy, we supply inverter for domestic and industrial from 5 kVA up to 10 megawatts and above. We have a plant in India, an assembly plant for all the items like inverter, UPS, and the batteries. And we have different kind of batteries, from acid batteries to gel batteries to lithium batteries to stack batteries. And also on the, coming from a private sector, we have in our monthly payroll staff strength of about 300 people, both Nigerians and expatriates. And I believe that our country should be a producing nation, not just consuming, as this takes a good number of our youth off job hunt market, and also in turns adding great economic value advantage to our nation. Well, my story from where I started to achieving all the information I mentioned. Background, I went to Christ Nursery School for my nursery school, after which I went to St. Michael's School, primary school, and also I attended Christ School. It was a secondary school, but we call it just Christ School. If you are conversant with the school in Ondo State, we used to say Christ School and others, one of the best secondary school in Nigeria. So while in secondary school, I was very, very acquainted with my dad, especially he introduced me to all his businesses. My dad was a successful business person. He was a prominent baker in the whole of Ondo State, very well known. He established the biggest bakery. Up till now, the name is still a household name both in Ondo State and Ekiti State. And also, he was among the major distributors to Peugeot Nigeria, a car dealer, and the company was called Egwaje Motors. He was a builder, and also he was into logistics knowledge. So I was very close to his business from a very tender age, and he was my mentor. So after which I attended Ondo State University. So during my time in the university, Ondo State University at Ekiti, I stayed off campus in a flat. I was a comfortable student. I had a car while in school. I lived a very moderate and comfortable life based on the fact that I had access to my dad's funds. I wasn't starved of anything. As at the time in school, to some extent, I was even supporting some of my mates that may have shortage of funds in completing their school fees. So along the line, we had some of our mates then that had access to traveling abroad. Anytime we were on a long vacation, they would travel for two, three months to work and come back to school, with lots of money. Appearance will be different. And at times during a strike, they will have the privilege to travel for 3, 4, 5 months and work. When they come back to school, then they'll be able to change their cars. And also, for a month of the school resumption, we used to call it then a month of pride, whereby they would change their clothes every day. So we used to look at these students, even though they were our mates, but we had a very high regard for them for the fact that they had access to traveling abroad. So I was inspired by their way of life and access to a much better life than some of us did then. So when they come, even at cafeteria, they will have enough funds to do what normal people wouldn't do. Part of their appearance then, because that was early 90s, every day they would wear different designers, and these were among the reigning designers then, Polo by Ralph's, crested shirts, chaps by Ralph, colors by Alexander Julian, Gloria Vanderbilt, Lorenzo Banfi, and a lot more. So before I finished from the university, I had in mind that any which way, immediately after my graduation, that I must travel to seek for a better life, a greener life. So how would I travel? At that time, it was only my dad that had the opportunity to travel, maybe once or twice. From my immediate family, none of us traveled. So how would I start the process? So fortunately, I had an aunt that lived in Osaka in Japan. She relocated back home. So along the line, she was actually the one that approached me that, look, Dipo, immediately you are done with your first degree, that it will be nice to travel. I told her, the auntie, I wouldn't mind traveling, but how would I do it? She said she had a lot of contacts, that she knew a lot of people that could, come to my head at that time. I said, oh, that would be nice. So once I finished the school, I went to meet her. At that point, she said she already made a contact that it would be possible that there was a man in Ibadan that used to live in England, but he relocated back home. So what he was doing then was just to help people travel. So he now said, one of my friends then was a year my senior in the school, that I already spoke to him and spoke to the father. The father was a retired major in Ado Ekiti. That my friend was interested. His name is Niyi. That he will follow me to meet my parents so that we can speak to them and see if they will be interested also in allowing me to travel, despite my very close associate with my dad, especially in running his businesses. So fortunately, we went to meet my parents. They bought into it. They said it would be a good idea at least to have somebody from my immediate family travel. So the woman now took us to Ibadan to meet this man called Mr. Ashano. So she discussed about everything. The man said, yes, he will be able to help us out, that he had a contact in the US, that to get a visa in Nigeria is almost impossible. He had a contact in the US whereby they can help us to get a US green card, out of which that we'll be able to at least travel out of Nigeria with the US green card. So we went back home. He gave us the cost implication and all that. So we went back home to speak to our parents, my mom and dad. They got the money together, about $8,000 equivalent, both to buy the ticket, to pay the man his fee and other things. So the second stage, we had to go back to Ibadan because he said we needed to take photograph for US green card. That was a special photograph. This photograph will capture from your right ear to your left eye, to capture half of your face, but showing one ear. So we did that. After that, he now said that he was going to post the photographs to the US so that they could make the US green card from the home office in the US. So he did that. Then after 2 months, he contacted us to say that, yes, he got the DHL finally, that we had our US green card. then we should prepare to travel. My heart was filled with joy. I was overwhelmed. So when the news was broken to my parents, they were so happy. They celebrated my living in Nigeria. They told everyone, and I was popular where I grew up from. Everybody knew that, oh, Dipo was traveling. So we had to leave. When they bought our ticket and everything, myself and Milia, my aunt, went to Ibadan to meet the man called Mr. Shannon. So Mr. Shannon now handed us over to his cousin called Dami. They took us to Lagos to board. They bought KLM. So when we got to the airport, they said we should wait, that they were going to go inside to get our boarding passes so that we could pass through the immigration. So after a few hours, it was late in the night, we now realized that some of the airline already departed. We were still in the car park. So at about 1 a.m., the gentleman came back to meet us at the car park saying that, oh, unfortunately, that they won't be able to lift us from Lagos Airport, that the airline were ready. As a matter of fact, they issued our boarding passes. When he approached the immigration with all the documents, they said no, that they were in doubt that the documents were originally from the US Home Office, a US green card. So it was a big problem. They collected our boarding pass, they never gave it back to him, but fortunately, he was able to retrieve the green cards back from the immigration, and they gave him back our passports. So we had to go back to Ibadan to meet the main man that started the process. We believe that he had a versatile knowledge about how you could get out of the country. So on that note, he now advised us that since they already registered our information
yourself, it's the damage now connected. It is it's livelihood that it is. So they have to buy materials to have received judgment. But the point is, what we are doing is myself and my friend was the week after. So we were at the for about 2 weeks. So I will travel with. So we then asked that we just change our parents and what our new dresses and all that. Before we go to everything, but someone that went through the road, because we were not doing so good. So I want to jack in the future, like oversized. So I just let me screw it. Then I was very funny to use when we were on my friend, very skinny person. People looking at his face and know that they are never going to get out of Nigeria or get in the residence in the US. His eyes socket didn't went inside, so that was struggling. So I traveled with the to the airport because I did go to Amsterdam. From Amsterdam, they now give us a different route to the destination from Amsterdam to Toronto, Canada, Toronto to Winnipeg, then to the USA. So they now told us that 2 things, is likely to happen next morning. The US green card allows us
to stop in Canada. This was 1996-97. That US green card could permit us to stop in Canada if we want. That Canada was open to migrants. Yes, that otherwise we can proceed to the US. So we said, okay, that's fine. So when we got to the airport, we got our boarding passes without any stress. So when we got to the Ivorian immigration, and the impression they gave us was that they wouldn't talk to us. They would just collect the passport, stamp, and let us go. But unfortunately, they interrogate us when we got to the immigration. They asked us a few questions. 2 of us coming to Ivory Coast with Nigerian blank passports filled with border stamp from Republic of Benin, from Togo, Ghana. So this passport was already shattered with the land border stamp. So immigration was concerned that, okay, your information shows that you were living in the USA, so we expect a kind of element of comfort. So the immigration said he was in doubt because he couldn't speak good English, so he had to call his boss to come from the main office to speak to us. So they were interrogating us that, okay, no problem, you have a US green card. Do you have any substitute identity, probably driver's license or bank card? We couldn't provide anything. What was your mission for coming to Ivory Coast? Because they expected you to fly from Lagos. We couldn't provide any answer to all the questions that we were asked. On that note, they suspected us that something wasn't right. So they now took us from the checkout point to the main immigration office for further interrogation. They now agreed that all our documents will be sent to US Embassy in Ivory Coast for verification. That if we could get a clearance, then they will permit us to travel. And unfortunately, who allowed them to do that? Bear in mind that we knew that we never lived in the US. They just gave us the document because we needed to travel. And that was the only available option that we had at that time. So the person that took us there now had to, after they locked us up for 24 hours, after which he now spoke with the head immigration at the airport to let us out, that we just needed to travel and all that. But unfortunately, reverse was the case. So at that point, the immigration officer now said, okay, he will give us back our Nigerian passport, but the US green card, we will never give them back to us because he considered them to be fake. And it won't be nice for them to arrest us at the airport and give them back our documents. Yes, the guy had to give them $500 US to leave both of us. So we now went back to the hotel, back to square one, to re-strategize on what we think we should do. So at that point, what was the way forward? We already spent over half of the money I had on me, especially. And then again, the green card that we relied on to travel has already been impounded at the airport. So what we had left with us was just the Nigerian passport. So after a few days, the guy said we should give him time to see what we could do. 2, 3, 4 days, he couldn't come up with any plan. And every day we were spending money. The money I had on me was going down. I had more money than my friend. So my friend that came with me, he was almost exhausted. So he now woke up one day to say that, look, people, that it seems that we may not be able to proceed further. On that note, he will have to go back home. Before leaving Nigeria, he was already managing his father's business. His father was a retired major, but was managing the father's petrol station, was a petrol dealer at that time. He said he was living fine, that He wasn't made to come to this kind of a place to be suffering when he could be more productive back home. The person that took us to Ivory Coast said, well, on that note, that it was short of ideas that we should go back home. At that point, I was helpless. I saw a huge mountain.
It's like the network is disturbing. Please, we'll soon be back.
When the party match, so start to
Okay, you're welcome.
The public toilets on daily basis. So
Yeah, you're back. Hello.
bring people like people like this buying a shoe made in Ghana, buying an Ankara made in Ghana. So it's not like I could put some money down for it to go back to the that they are sure that at the end of the month will give you much less than 20 to 25% of my investment. So that's $5,000. Unfortunately, at that point, I had $22,000. $22,000 so, you know, to get on my mind, I was looking ahead of me. It's either I give them money there for me to make 20-25% dividend on a monthly basis, or if I don't give it the money, I'll keep spending and money will keep going down. I appreciate the fact that I had an idea of the kind of trading was talking about. What I could do there was just give it $2,500. I was not making a few $100 or $300 US. So hopefully at the end of the month, I'll be making extra $500. So I gave him the money in good faith. I was left with $6. We traveled to Ghana, hoping to come back about 2 weeks later that because of those, sell them, and then after 1 month to give me my dividend. 1 week, I didn't hear anything from him. 2 months, I didn't hear anything from him. So I now had to get somebody that was able to go to me to get his contact. So when I spoke to him, he said, "Oh, so sorry that I have problems. The immigration collected the money. They promised to bring goods. They didn't bring in the goods." After about 3 months, that the money I had on me was completely exhausted. So the choice I had available then was to, before that time, each time I wake up, I will go to the center of Ivory Coast. I will go to a hotel called Hotel d'Ivoire. I'll sit down there, take coffee. I'll be meeting people, be speaking to them, introduce myself. I'll look nice and look neat. So they were giving me audience. Then I will go to the center of Ivory Coast also, where all the embassies were situated, called Plateau. I will stay at the coffee bar, watching people go inside the embassy. The most popular embassy there was a French embassy. You know, I watch people go in the morning. After about 2-3 hours, they will collect the visa and come out and be jubilating. Of course, French people, they were not actually denying them. Out of 100 applications, I'm sure, all 100 people will get good response, positive response. So the choice I now had around that time was to go back to Ghana to see, okay, then if I could not make extra profit, at least give me my money back. So I was introduced to someone in Ghana, a returning from the US. He had a flat in Ghana. So when I got there, the person that introduced me to him, told him that I would be staying with him just for about a week. That somebody took my money and I was coming to Ghana to reclaim my money. So it was very warm at me. It was nice to me. Each morning I would go and meet the person that collected my money. When I got to his place, I was, I felt so sad for him because at the condition at which I saw him, I could not even ask him for a penny. He was just consoling me that I shouldn't worry, he's going to collect the money back. That was why I was waiting. He was already stranded with some other people. After a week, nothing positive came out of him. And I was going to meet him every day. I'll go back to the person that accommodated me in the evening. So after about 2 weeks, the person that accommodated me wasn't comfortable again, thinking that I've come to Ghana to lie to him. That probably nobody collected my money. I just came over to Ghana to reside in his house. So he now changed his ways towards me. It wasn't warm at me again. Sometimes I would give him, he wouldn't answer. So that now gave me a serious headache. I was confused because I was pained that I didn't lie to him. But of course, I exceeded the number of days I promised to stay with him. But unfortunately, it wasn't really my fault. It wasn't comfortable again. And I was thinking I was my host. He had the veto power over me. What can I do? I just woke up one day. I left my suitcase with him. I left everything. I wore my pair of shoes, a pair of jeans, a boxer, and shirt, and I left the house to stay with the person that collected my money. They were stranded. At that point, I was stranded as well because I didn't have any money. And I think we all know the meaning of someone being stranded. Stranded as in no shelter, no food. So I left. I didn't even tell those that wouldn't come back. I'm sure I was worried, So we wake up in the morning. So the only accommodation they had then, about 6 of them, I joined them. I was the 7th person, was to sleep in the mosque. There was a mosque in Accra, Ghana, called Lagos Town. Lagos Town is the Nigerian-dominated area in Ghana. So, so there was a mosque around the place. We'll go there late at night to sleep. And at 4 a.m., we must wake up
to leave the mosque because people, we need to come into the mosque to pray around 4:35. So when we wake up in the morning, we'll go to one of the Nigerian owners' shop to sit just right in front of the shop and be watching. And none of us had money. So they will now be looking around to see if they will see any comfortable Nigerian whereby they will go and talk to him to see how he can give them some little amount of money so that we can all share it to feed. So I lived like that for about 5-6 months with boxer shorts, a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes, and a shirt. For me to wear for me to wash my jeans, I must remove it, wear my boxer short for about 2 days for the jeans to dry and wear it again. So that was the life I lived for about 6 months. And along the line, about 2 months, some people in the area now criticized us. They spoke to the imam not to ever accommodate us again, that we were not praying in the mosque. Why would they now allow us to be sleeping in the mosque? Why would they leave the mosque open? So at that point, they now locked the mosque. So the only available place for us to sleep at night was the corridor of the mosque, the corridor at which they had a casket. The casket that they used to bury the dead body in the community is one casket. When somebody died, they would use the casket to bury the person and return their casket back to the same place. This wasn't the life I ever lived in, even in Nigeria. I was very comfortable, but yet, all the people at home, my family members didn't know I was there, because how would I tell my parents that I was going through such in Ghana? They would rather want me to come back home. And for me, I didn't want to go back home, because I was thinking that traveling also would change my narration. I was so hopeful that I would make headways in traveling. So, and again, one of the guys that we were together, was being nasty to me, because each time they meet any prominent Nigerian that could possibly give us some money to eat, I would feel funny talking and be begging like that. Not because I was posing, but because of my background. I wasn't just used to that kind of a life. So anytime they collect money is when I would criticize to say that it's not they shouldn't give me, or they should just give me very little, the least that I was posing. So on that note, they shouldn't give me anything, or rather they'll give me little thing. So we were eating just once a day. I didn't have anything. So on this fateful night, we went to eat. So I left there on time. I was lost. I didn't even know what to do. I was just wandering around, just at night, So it has never happened to me before. It might sound a bit funny, but that's just the reality. I just saw on the floor about paper note. Paper note, what as in Ghanaian money. You barely see something on the floor in Ghana, let alone see money. I was thinking that was late at night, but it was a bit, it was clear I could see it. I was scared. I said, is this not money? Only God knew when last I touched such amount of money. Paper note, I picked the money. That was the same money that I used to call my parents at home. I lied to them that I was in France. They thought I was in France all along. I told them I needed to do a business and I needed about $2,000. And at that time, I had somebody, one of the traders that used to fly Lagos to Ghana, he was in Lagos. I was able to speak to him with the same amount of money. I was able to call him also. I begged him to help me go to Osun State to collect some money from my parents, and telling them that he was going to send the money to me in France, not in Ghana. I coached him on what to do. Fortunately, he went to my place in Osun State. He was able to collect $2,500. So on that note, I took a very big risk. It was a total stranger also, and the guy could have run with the money. So fortunately, he brought the money back to me in Ghana. I was overwhelmed, So what I did was just to give him $200 as commission. So it was the money that I now used to go back to Ivory Coast. The money changed my life. I left all the people there. Even the guy that took my money was there. So I didn't know, I didn't have any other choice than to just go back to Ivory Coast with the money. So getting to Ivory Coast, again, I was, I'd already been toughened up based on the things I went through. So I got an apartment, just a room, just little a room. Then every day I was going back to the embassy area, just hopeful that I would find someone that would assist me. From the embassy in the evening, I would go to a hotel called Hotel Ivoire. The hotel is like, I could compare it with the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja, the biggest and the best hotel, whereby people from different parts of the world used to come to for their business and maybe holidays. So at a plateau one day, I met a musician in Ivory Coast, a traditional singer called Naunu Kolen. It was about the third time we within the span of about 2 months, I saw him go back to the French embassy with his crew. Each time he will go with about 20 people, he'll get all the visa, and he will now come back to the cafeteria and be jubilating and all that. So he was a singer, and I could compare him with the likes of Papa Wemba, is the singer from Zaire, and also Kofi Olumide. Kofi Olumide is a singer. He resided in Ivory Coast, but originally from Congo. So he was on their level. So I had to speak to this guy to see how he can assist me, because I knew that I was going to France often and everything to do shows in Paris. So I spoke to him and I said, oh, that my issue seems to be a bit complicated. Number one, in Nigerian, without speaking French. But before that time, I already started a French language school in Ivory Coast. I did that for about 3 months. I could communicate a little bit in French. You know, I said, even about communication in French, because they needed to interview you at the embassy, you should be able to at least say some words of French. And aside that, a Nigerian passport, that you will only be entitled to visa at Ivory Coast with their residence permit. So he said he will be able to help me with that. So with I gave him about $200-300. They call it card de séjour. So along the line, so he got the residence permit. Along the line, I now met a man from USA called Ivan Khan. I met him at Hotel Ivoire. You know, I had to summon courage to speak to him, because for the span of 1-2 months, I was seeing him almost every day in the evening. He would go back to work, come back and relax at the poolside. I'll be at the poolside taking my coffee. I always made sure my appearance was very okay. So when I approached him, he was warm at me because I had a good appearance. I told him my story, what I went through in Ghana, the way I left Nigeria. So he was concerned and he was ready to assist me. And I said, well, what he was doing was to set up a communication company in Ivory Coast. And they had employed a few Ivorians, but unfortunately, they were not being fruitful. They were not being proactive enough because they are a bit laid back. So he now introduced me to what is called Justice Telecom, a callback system. It's a communication system similar to AT&T Connect USA. So this same company, Justice Telecom, had their office in San Francisco, USA. So a callback system. So it was one of the main shareholders and the head team. But he came to Ivory Coast to set up the Ivory Coast office. So he employed a few Ivorians, but were not being productive because, number one, Côte d'Ivoire Telecom was in full operation, and most Ivorians wouldn't travel unless they go on holiday. So their life revolved around staying in their country. So before I started, the other guy told me that, oh, my visa was going to be ready. I should come for an interview. The guy got the visa for me. But I was thinking, okay, why would I now use the last money I had on me when somebody already secured a job for me to travel? I got the French visa, but I refused to travel for the fact that I was hopeful that Ivan Khan, the US man, would be able to help me out financially. So I got the job. He gave me a phone, a Motorola, they loaded it with credit callback system. So just to, they gave me the call rate per minute to different countries, from USA to other countries, that I should find a way to make money out of it. So I struggled the first month. I didn't make anything. All I made within a month was just about $200, because I would go back to Nigerian community, in which most of them were refugees. And they were only making like maybe 1 minute call to either speak to their family members abroad. Community controls their economy, both commodities and production in Ivory Coast. They have a settlement that is like as big as a city. So, and this Lebanese community, they have most of the family members in Lebanon and other parts of the world. And some of the businesses there, the main owner of the businesses are in Lebanon. So in which some of the people in Ivory Coast, must give information to on daily basis, especially in the evening when they are done for the day. So, and the call I had on me, callback system, it was a phone that was originated from the USA. So for you to dial the number, you have to dial as if you are in the US, 011, which is the US dial out code. So One evening, the first time, within the span of about a few hours, I made about $100. I was surprised. So the next day, it continued. So the information now circled around the Lebanese people that there was a guy with a mobile phone that you could call and pay like half of the money instead of spending so much on Cote d'Ivoire Telecom. I was popular among the Lebanese. So the Ivan Khan, the US man, was very well pleased with me that I was making money for the company, and from which also they were giving me my percentage on daily basis. Eventually, for proper accountability, they changed it to weekly basis. So from one phone, they now give me 2 mobile phones. So I was operating with 2 mobile phones. When I get there, I will give one to one Lebanese and be counting in minutes on how much minute they spend. That will now make me to calculate how much money to get from them and each country. But mainly they were calling Lebanon. So it got to a stage whereby I now became very popular and very big, and I was making good money. I became very settled. I now changed my house from one apartment to another studio apartment, but in a very better in a better location. So along the line, so I now had the opportunity to ask for more mobile phone. Then it was a Nokia, Motorola, and Nokia Banana. So I now had I now had about 4 different mobile phones. So I now managed to employ one Nigerian again to join me, in which I was paying $20 every day. So I did that for a good number of almost a year. So the US man now said that it's high time for them to upgrade me, that on that note, they needed to train me on how it works and the technical aspect of the communication. So he got my passport, he did all the documentation, he got me a US visa. That was after about 3 years in Ivory Coast, and including Ghana. The same US that I struggled to travel to from Nigeria to Ivory Coast, and I got it on a platter of gold that I must go for a 3-month training. I was sent to San Francisco, Justice Telecom office. I was trained. At that time, I had money with me. I could take care of myself and take care of other people, you know. So after the training, they now said, well, that since the Ivory Coast business was established, I wasn't needed again, that again, I could speak a bit of French, that I should go to France to upgrade the office in France. They had office in Paris and also in Bordeaux. So from after spending 3 months of intensive training in the USA, I traveled to France. So getting to France, I worked with the team in France. I had to take it further because I had to go to the midst of foreigners, because they were the eligible clients that could spend a good number of minutes and hours on the phone and pay a lot of money. So I set up the French office. At that time, I was not investing back in that company. The money I was making, I was giving back to Justice Telecom to buy more airtime. The investment I made was allowed them to give me a call at a cheaper rate. You know, so from there again, when at some point they now said, okay, they suggested I should go to Spain also to set up the Spanish office. Spain office, especially, Madrid, there wasn't any representative at all. At least in France, they had office and outlets on ground. So I went to Madrid, you know, I found my way around and I was able to set up the office and I became very large. So at that point that I operated in France and also in Madrid, Spain, then they now changed the configuration of the system, that the phone could now be configured to any phone, any touch tone phone, which means if you have a phone with a dialing tone, you know, our system could work with your phone. All they needed to do, you know, then was just to get your phone number, land phone. They will now configure the callback system on your phone. But what you needed to do then was to make sure that you have it just a call card to call your access number, a US number. That is the trigger number. When you call the number, automatically the system calls you back. And when you pick the phone, you will hear the voice prompt saying that, welcome to Justice Telecom. Please enter your destination number now or press star for more options. More options will allow you to know how much money you have. So on that note, I was now very popular around the world. Even people in Nigeria at Lagos market, a lot of people that were struggling to go to Nitel to make their calls. I had a couple of contacts there. I've never been to Lagos, Okeani or something, but I had people that were subscribing through me that I was making almost 100,000 naira a day. You know, that was now moved to about year 2000. So I had a lot of money on me. And from Nigeria, I was acquainted to my dad's business. So I now realized, okay, apart from the telecommunication business, that what did I need to do again? So I was conversant with Olage. So I traveled to Netherlands, Holland, precisely Holland and Belgium. I started buying trucks and trailers, sending them to Nigeria. But I had a good contact in Nigeria on how they could make them work and be making money. So at some point, I bought about 6-7 trucks. So I set up a haulage company called Dipson Haulage till today. So during that time also, I came back to Nigeria once for the first time. I went around and I met, again, one of my, is my mentor. I knew him before I traveled. He was a commodity trader. So I actually gave him a few trucks to manage for me, which he did. And I sent a few trucks also to Port Harcourt to work with Eagle Cement in Port Harcourt. So at some point, the person I knew was working with Dangote. So he was the main sales rep to Dangote companies, the biggest sales rep in the Southwest. So later at year 2001, 2002, he now got logistics contract with Dangote to move their goods from Lagos port to different destinations. On that note, he needed to buy trucks. He started buying trucks from me. So after a few months, he now said he was going to give me, or he gave me order to supply 200 trucks and trailers, within the span of 2 years, to supply 10 trucks every month. I didn't have the financial capacity to do that. I started buying the ones I could, send it to him. So I now went back to the company in Netherlands to speak to them, to let them know about the contract that I had. So they were so happy. Unfortunately, the specification of the truck was DAF ATI intercooler. They gave this, specification. At that time, Dangote had not started haulage business, just commodities. So, and the company in Netherlands, Edidoka Trucks and Parts, I still have a very good relationship with them till today. They now told me that they had a relationship with Northerners, that they have sold a good number of trucks to the Northerners, that there is no problem that they could be of assistance, that what I should do was just to get a bank guarantee, and that they will supply the truck and the bank should give them comfort later. And at the end of the month, the second month, they will pay, because that was the agreement I had with Mr. Oladipo that was working with Dangote, that once the truck comes into Nigeria, a month later we'll be getting paid. So I did that for about it took us about 2.5 to 3 years to complete the 200 supply of trucks. So on that note, I made a lot of money. So I was going in and coming in. So later I now said, aside haulage business, what other business can I do? Because I had reasonable amount of money on me to start another new business. So for the fact that I spent some time going to the hotel in Ivory Coast, Hotel Ivoire, so I was so interested in hospitality. So I had in mind that, yes, I was going to set up a hotel. Because for any development environment, especially Lagos was growing then, I knew that they needed good hotels as part of the growth. So I did my study on that. And again, I had to press further on another alternative that I can do. I've always had a flair for manufacturing. I picked plastic. So when I did my study about plastic, and I realized that in Nigeria, plastic chair, that was early 2002. That was when the whole world started integrating from wooden chairs to plastic chairs, from iron chairs to plastic chairs. So I now had two business propositions in mind. I did my feasibility study on them. I was ready to start up, but again, one at a time. So I now went back to meet my mentor, my senior friend. I told him the plan I had, and I told him how much money I had on me, that I was ready to establish two businesses, one at a time, hotel and plastic manufacturing. So he now advised me, he said both are good and are prominent businesses. But number one, hotel business is a long-term business whereby the return on investment takes a while. But plastic industry is a business and manufacturing whereby you could have access to quick return on investment. Even it's possible within the span of 1 or 2 years to make your money back. So he said I should go for plastic manufacturing first. Then once that is stable, then I can then establish a hotel. So I went to do my study further to find out how we could source for machineries and all that. And at that time, early 2000s, Nigerians were not used to Chinese technology. It was either Europe or America. So when I did my study within Europe, I now realized that there was a company in Italy called the Negri Bossi, one of the world-leading plastic manufacturing machine producers. So I spoke to them. I told them about my demands and all that. Then I said, okay, fine, that's good. My idea seems to be okay, but I should come to Italy and spend a few months to a couple of months so that they could integrate me into their system, that I know how the machine works, the compositions and all that. So I did that. And also back to Nigeria, I did my study. They had about just 5 companies manufacturing plastic chairs and tables. They had 3 in Lagos, 2 in Ibadan. So I had to choose Osun State as my location, not just because that's my state. Osun State, as I can say for once and again, all the time, that as of today, the major problems we have in Nigeria, especially in the manufacturing sector, is electricity. They have the most stable electricity in Nigeria. And again, my plan also was to supply the plastic across the country, not just Lagos, because most people believe that we must all be in Lagos. But I was thinking that if I had to produce to supply the North, so I could be anywhere. So I chose that location for different reasons. So I bought the land. The machine also, the cost of the machine was very expensive, was relatively high. I didn't have enough money. I spoke to the company. They said they had a credit scheme that they could release the machine if I pay about 30% of the money. Then on that note, that personal guarantee won't be allowed, that my bank would have to cover for that, and again, that the repayment should be within 2 to 3 years with the interest of about 10% as token. So, and at that time, with the trailer business I was doing, I had a good relationship with banks, and based on the sales of our trailers, my account balance, was quite reasonable. So I had Platinum Abid Bank, sorry to mention that name. They helped me out. The the company in Italy sent different agreements back and forth. So they were able to guarantee them. So I was now able to buy the machine. They sent the machine to Nigeria. But of course, the bank did all the clearing and everything. So we installed the machine. We started producing. And again, in the manufacturing industry, not just about manufacturing, what about the source of raw materials? The study I did was that I realized that there was a company in Port Harcourt called LMA Petrochemical, a petrochemical company producing plastic-based raw materials. So I thought that they will have the right aggregate of materials for our plastic chairs, because the demand for plastic chair was very huge. Imagine the number of churches in Nigeria moving from wooden chairs and iron chairs to plastic chairs. Then imagine also event centers, even household. So it was a huge market. And then again, the company in Osun State was the first indigenous plastic chair company. So at that time, to have good sort of raw materials, I traveled to Port Harcourt. I met with them. I gave them my documentation. So they now said, well, I had the right idea, and the government says that the finished product also should be allocated to indigenous plastic industries. So I was eligible and qualified to be getting materials from them. So eventually, and I realized that what we needed to do plastic chair was polypropylene material, whereas they were only producing polyethylene, a different aggregate that could not even be used for plastic chairs. So the only choice available with me then, as the source of our raw materials, was to be buying from our competitors, the companies bringing the material from abroad, from companies like Argentina, USA, Korea, South Korea, even Europe. And these same companies, the traders, they were the same people also manufacturing plastic chairs. So the only option I had on me was to be buying materials from my competitors. Unfortunately, they will sell the materials to me at a retail price, whereas the petrochemical price from abroad, that's the same price that will be given to their own company. So I was now struggling in the market, because all over the world, plastic price is determined by weight. So as we were producing plastic chairs, we could not, in terms of sales, our cost of production was even higher than the market price. We couldn't break even. There was no other way. And the source of raw materials, amount needed for raw material was quite huge. I didn't have any other means to raise huge amount of money to be importing. It was quite huge. And before that time, I already bought land to start the hotel based on the study I did to have a good location in Lagos. So plastic industry wasn't encouraging. Then I already employed a few engineers, Nigerians from Lagos. They left the companies to come to Osun State to be producing. So sometimes in a week we produce for 2-3 weeks in a month. Sometimes a month we produce for a week. we were struggling. So there were, so at that time I was discouraged. Yet I continued with my haulage business, and I was doing equipment leasing because I brought in a few equipment. So around that time, I was able to, somebody got a contract from Osun State government, a huge contract without equipment. I had access to equipment then, from having a bulldozer to excavator to swam boogie, different kind of equipment to produce. So he came to me to partner with me because he got a contract without equipment. So we made, we shared the profit afterwards. So I was more interested, and I bought more machineries for construction. So on that note, I had to set up a construction company to boost the opportunity opportunity available. So up until now, the company, Dipson Construction Company Limited, is prominent in Osun State. We do government contracts, and we do buildings, also construction. And then, so along the line, I started building the hotel. I was totally discouraged in the plastic. So the company was there, we were not running because of the raw materials. And also sometimes the machine will be faulty. It will take some time because the Italian will have to come over for them to be able to fix the fault. So I was totally discouraged. And while I was trying to establish in Nigeria, I already cut off from the communication, the Justice Telecom, where I started my life from in Europe and in the US. I thought the establishment in Nigeria would take me to a different, a different level in life, but it was a big struggle. So, and along the line, the money I was making, I was channeling the money to set up the hotel, thinking, okay, I didn't have a breakthrough in the plastic industry. Hotel should be able to at least substitute for that. So I now managed to complete the first phase of the hotel, about 30 rooms on a 2 plots of land. But the study I did to have that location also was Lagos Business School and a place called Fontopia. Fontopia was just right down the road of my location. That area was saturated, was derelict, but yet the very first hotel around that side at that time. So Lagos Business School was my target. So immediately we completed the hotel. Unfortunately, Fontopia went off. They were not operating anymore. So the only target I had was Lagos Business School. But fortunately for me, without marketing, immediately we completed Econet Nigeria, Zane, took all our facilities and for 2 good years. Because at that time, they were training all their workers in Lagos Business School, and then they were lodging their staff at City Lounge Hotel, just around Lekki. So City Lounge Hotel to Lagos Business School was quite far. This Lagos Express wasn't so motorable, bumpy, and full of traffic. So they now realized that, okay, there was a hotel just directly opposite. So without registration, with Econet, without anything, they took our facility. We started from there. So the two information we had in mind on the feasibility study was Fontopia and Lagos Business School. Fontopia went folded off, but Lagos Business School picked up. So up until now, nearly all the companies in Nigeria, they have things to do. So they have things to do at Lagos Business School, and of course they will need accommodation. So till now, 95% of our accommodation is from Lagos Business School. So we don't even do advertisement, because as soon as they are sending all their course schedule out to their prospective clients, be it government officials, corporate industry, hotel is always the preferred hotel to stay. So the hotel is there. So after about a few years down the line, the plastic industry is still there. So we were substituting with haulage and construction work to pay the workers, the staff of plastic industry. So after about 6-7 years of struggle without making anything out of it, so I had a friend that happens to be in government. Fortunately, I assisted him during the time of struggle. He contested to be a governor of my state. At that point, in my own little way, I assisted him. So when he became the governor, he walked up to me. He knew that I had a plastic industry, but he didn't know for which production. Or he knew that it was a plastic production, but he didn't know that you couldn't use the plastic machinery to do varieties aside the injection molding. So he told me that he would love to help me to compensate for all the things I did during the time of his struggle, that he was going to set up it was going to set up a Ministry of Environment, whereby it would compel every household in Osun State to have a waste bag. That on that note, that it want me to set up to start producing waste bag branded for Osun State government that will be supplied across all the local governments, and each household will have them, and we will propel them to use them, So I got back home. My wife was actually there at that time. I tried to tell him that, look, that plastic waste was a different form of plastic, not the same as plastic chairs that we're producing. But it wouldn't give me any audience to explain myself, being a governor and in public, because we had the conversation in public, not a private conversation. But I just told him that, look, that we started plastic chairs. We didn't make anything for several years. Why would we have to start another one again? I just ignored him. So after about 2 years, we had a friend in common. But each time, he would speak to the friend to find out from me the progress that we have made in setting up in producing the waste nylon. But unfortunately, each time the friend called me, I would tell him that, look, don't mind the governor, that I didn't want to hear anything about plastic again. That I invested for almost 10 years, nothing came out of it. So obviously, I wasn't interested again. So, but the governor went ahead, he set up the Ministry of Environment. So at that time, we now started ordering for waste nylon from Lagos. So after about 6 months, when the pressure was too much, so we had to rethink that, okay, to honor the state government, at least let's do something. We didn't have money to set up, so we had to approach the bank. We told them about our needs and everything. They gave us the terms and conditions. We were able to meet up with that terms and conditions. Then we gave them some money also, equity, about 30%. So they released the funds. I traveled to Europe and South Korea. We bought new machineries again. The machine we had for plastic chair was injection molding, whereas the machine needed for waste bags was extrusion machine. It was a totally different line. So we invested a good number of amounts, over 100 millions of naira in that. So hoping that at least for the first 4 years, we'll be able to at least supply government plastic waste. And they tell us to supply 1 million pieces every month for 4 years. That government will subsidize, that they will pay initially, but eventually after about 6 months or 1 year, they will make the indigents to pay and subsidize. Okay, so we recruited people also. So we started production. We produced the first month. We were producing ahead. We supplied them the toolkit. So we now calculated or anticipated that at least every month they would take that 1 million pieces. So we produced the second month, the third month. So the second supply, they refused to take it, that there was no money to pay, that there is no money to pay. So I now had to speak to them. I went back to the governor to say that, look, Governor, Mr. Governor, this was what they told me from the ministry. But they said there was no money to pay. The governor now said no, that he was one that encouraged me to go and do it. And he knew why he said we should do it. I was going to add value to his government. I shouldn't mind them. I should continue. But unfortunately, I was frustrated. They only took the first month. We produced 2 other months. They didn't take it. Again, we're back to square one. Bank's money was there. We couldn't pay because we already calculated that the proceed from the plastic bag will be used to pay the loan collected from the bank. So we were stocked. We went on and on along. So the major source of income we had then was the hotel. The 2 plans that we had for the plastic industry, both the plastic chairs and the exclusion, the plastic bags, were not forthcoming. So we had to, again, substitute with a hotel, construction, earth moving equipment and construction work, and also the haulage. So along the line, that was at the hotel. So I was now very conversant, going to the hotel all the time. So I was meeting people also in my hotel. So there was a time we now built another apartment at the hotel because I had to focus my energy on the hotel based on the prospect. So I now met one of the clients to say that I was happy with the way the construction of the apartment was done, that he actually thought the construction was done by the developer. I said, no, my company did it. They actually did it. He was so interested. So we got on talking. He asked me about my state, what I do and all that. So I told him fortunately, he was from Osun State also. So we exchanged cards, and he mentioned the company he works for, a procurement head and all that. So fortunately, from the same card that we exchanged, because each time I meet everyone, I tell them everything I do, So 6 months later, the line, someone now called me from the company to find out they mentioned the name of the plastic package. You know, I've never heard it before. But there was this quote that came to mind by Richard Brastin, says that if you are given any offer, don't reject it, accept it. Even though you don't know how to do it, accept it and find a way to do it. So he mentioned it, are you Mr. So? Can you manufacture this? It was the first time of hearing that product before. I told him, okay, no problem, don't worry, I'll get back to you. Give me about 30 minutes. I had to call the company to find out about our workers that, look, somebody said, can we produce this? Oh, my worker said, oh, yes, of course, that the same machine that we bought for the government will actually produce it. That why not? Okay, and I went back to the person to say that, oh, yes, sir, we could produce this. That was the next day. They said, okay, on that note, he said his boss said he should call me. If you can produce it, we should produce at least 10 tons and supply them. So when I asked my workers, how long will it take us to produce 10 tons? They said 1 month, that because of the output of the machine. So I now said to myself that, okay, no problem. We'll find out how we can source for raw materials. And again, find out if we can liaise with any company in Lagos to help us out with the production that will supply on our company's name. So, but fortunately, someone now told us that no, that it might not take up to 1 month. We got the contact. We bought the material from Lagos. We produced the first 10 tons. We were able to finish the production in our own company within a week. We supply them. So each time we supply, they will always ask for more. That, okay, can you produce more? We now ask them, what quantity more do you want? They will now ask us, what's our strength? Each time we supply, they will ask us, how much can you produce? That was always the question. And I said to myself that, imagine a big opportunity. Now, there was a company that was ready to take as much as we could produce. So along the line, we were producing every day, every week, every month. So we now knew that we needed to increase our strength. So we had to, buy more machines to increase our output ever since. And again, we now have to source for raw material from abroad. One of the best petrochemical company that produces the right material used for that product. So when we brought the material in, other suppliers producing for the company, now the company now relied on our quality as the best because we were bringing our raw material from the best petrochemical company producing that aggregate. So that was when we now started. I now had to focus more on the plastic manufacturing. So we now built another phase. So when we build the second phase, along the line, you should remember the story started from when the governor said we should set up the plant, which we did and we were disappointed. We were shut down. But from that time also, the machinery that we bought to produce the garbage bag was the same machine that we started using to produce for this new product. So when we now finished the second phase, I now went to meet the governor. That was after about a year that she come to our factory for commissioning. So he now came. As a matter of fact, all the cabinet members came because he felt that he needed to honor my invitation and based on relationship that we had. So on that day, we now did two things to let them know how much we were disappointed based on the fact that they told us to set up a line to produce for them. We borrowed funds, and again, they didn't patronize us again. That was one disappointment. Another thing is that based on that disappointment again, we now have to tell them about the opportunity that came to us. Because if we didn't take the risk to buy the machineries at that time, when the opportunity came, there was no way we would have accepted it because we wouldn't have had any machine to produce it. I had to tell the governor that, look, they say every disappointment is a blessing, and our life was a testimony. It disappointed us, but that disappointment also paved way to where we are today. And I can tell you, and the governor was so happy, he spoke and spoke and spoke, and he was happy that he was able to witness that day. So for now, what we are producing, that I didn't even have any idea of, is now the main umbrella of all our production. In Nigeria today, I can tell you that our company is a household name in soft packaging and production in the whole of Nigeria. We are well known among all the food and beverage companies in this country. And again, our output, up till now, we can't meet up with demand. So what we are setting up again, we are setting up that we are setting up a plan that is ready to be completed within 5 years in 3 phases. But the first phase to start production, by second quarter next year. So by the time this plant is completed, we are going to be the biggest of flexible packaging manufacturer in Nigeria. So going forward, the story of the company, Dipson Plastic, that I've just explained to you is a good testimony into our lives. And what I've gone through from the very humble beginning to what I went through that I never even anticipated. If I didn't climb the mountain ahead of me then, I may not have been where I am now, because I had the chance to come back home to say that, oh, my parents, that I should go back and continue with their business, but where would I have been today? And then again, for the youth that may be listening to me, one thing is very common, especially in Nigeria today among employers and employees, based on my experience, is that most employees are always not seeing their employer as their friends. They see their employers as their enemies, which I don't even know why. Most of them at the place of work, they collide against the owners of the business for no apparent reason. So I would urge in each and every one of you, the youth, to try not to embrace that kind of attitude. It won't yield any results. I can tell you, see your employer as people adding value to you, and you are also adding value to them. Through them, you are putting food on your table. Another thing I would like to say to the youth is that, especially the men, your age, the prime age, I think is between when you finish your first degree, maybe from age 23 to age 35 to age 40. That's when you have all the energy to build your future. I will tell you that do everything possible to explore the opportunity ahead of you during those years. And again, don't rush to go into any relationship, because by the time you get married or rush into any relationship, you already restricted yourself by at least 20, 30% of what you can do. Because if you are single at early age, if you have the opportunity to travel, you will not even hesitate, you won't think twice. You will travel without thinking that you have baggages. But when you are committed, at the wrong time, even when you have the opportunity ahead of you, the consideration is that you have to think for two people, not just for yourself alone. With my experience, I know that when you take your time to do things right, the future is so clear. And then again, all of us cannot be leaders. Some of us can be managers, because leaders, they think differently, and the way God created everyone, we are not the same. Some strive being managers, while some strive being leaders. So let's just understand what our strengths could be, and also see how we can apply that to our lives. And then again, at the right time, you should do the right thing. For example, if you have a job that you are doing, you have a car as a banker, nothing stops it from, finding a way for multiple income. You can finish your banking and also use your car for Uber. There is no shame in that. It's about having additional income. And that is what you need in life to have a good balance, So on this note, I would not want to take your time further. This is my story, and I'd like to rest my case. Thank you.
Please, can we give another round of applause for 3Cs that helped Sir Bakare to chart his course? Choices, chances, changes. You have to make a choice to take a chance to change your situation, particularly if you are not happy with it. You see, Brother Bakare did not mention the names of his clients now, and I will also not mention them. That's those that depend on what is producing for them. These are top top companies in Nigeria. I know them. They rely on him, on Dipson Plastics to push their products that you and I, that we use every day. That there's no day that you will not use. Those are the companies we are talking about. And we are talking about somebody who, let him pardon me, I can say that he was actually trafficked. He was trafficked out of Nigeria while he was still looking for greener pastures. He fell victim of traffickers. Can you imagine the story we have just heard? How many years he spent between Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana? Somebody who had to wash the only pant, trouser, he will go in his boxers for 2 days so that will dry up, and then he will put it on again. This is a story of resilience at a level that I've never had before. And the interesting thing about this, and that is why we record all these programs, he's not the first person who will come up and tell the story of his life, and even family members will be hearing it for the first time. I've sat here, I've listened to people like Sir Komolafe, Papa Kushimo, telling stories that their family members were hearing for the first time. And I'm sure that even Brother Bakare's children, hearing him, I'm sure he's never had the time to sit them down to say, this is what I went through in life, and here I am. It's good to always hear people's stories so that we don't generalize. When you hear that somebody has made it in life, somebody is wealthy, oh, they stole money, oh, they did this, oh, they did that. How many people do you think can come and sit down like him or like Dangote and trace, and you can see the steps and trace and tell you this is my story? Not many people. Not many wealthy people celebrated in Nigeria. There will always be a gap that they will cover up. But we thank God for his life. Let me quickly yield to Reverend Philip, who might have been compiling questions, if any. I know our youth are in clusters, in Lekki here, in Aja, in Awuyaya. There are people on Zoom, and there are also people on Facebook and YouTube. Reverend Philip, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Please unmute yourself. Can we unmute Reverend Philip?
Yes, I'm already unmuted. Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Please go ahead. Do we have questions?
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Please, it's time for us to ask questions. For now, we'll just have just few comments in the comment section. Please, if you have any question, you can indicate so that we will allow you to ask. Or maybe you have a comment, you will need to express it maybe by writing or speaking to us. Please can go ahead and do that. It's time for us to have a comment, questions, and probably appreciation. Anybody, we are live via Facebook and Zoom. We have our members who are at their clusters, Wesley Chapel, Lekki, Wesley Methodist Church, Ajana. Do you have any question from any of these places? Please let us bring them forward.
Reverend Miracle, there's a question from Aja here.
Okay, please go ahead.
Sister,
tell us your name and then your question. Tell us your name and your question.
All right, she's coming.
Okay. My name is Nora from Wesley Methodist Church.
You're welcome. Please go ahead with your question.
Okay, sir. I want to ask a question based on the job opportunities these days. Like, we youth these days, for a company, for instance, to apply for a job. So when you get there, they will a kind of requesting for a 5 years experience on that particular job you want to apply for. And unfortunately, you've not done such before. So in a situation like that, please, sir, how can we handle it?
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that our mentor for today has taken note of your question. Yes,
Reverend Miracle, sir.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I should just add to that question. You know, Brother Bakare is an employer of labor, and this experience of a team, for people like him who has access to other people, is there something they can do? I'm sure that's the question, the line of question. Something that people like him and others can do to address this issue of 5 years experience. I mean, somebody's just coming out from university. You are asking the person to produce 5 years, 10 years experience. Where will he get the experience from? Is there something that people like Bakare and his others, they can come together? Is there a way they can address the situation? I'm sure that's the direction of the question.
Okay, thank you very much. Very well understood. I'm sure he will be able to address that issue. When somebody is just coming out from the university, just the first time of the labor market, or as that matter, you'll be requested to bring your 5 years experience, whereby you are just coming out probably the first year or second year after service. So how the matter could be addressed. Our mentor, I know you have taken note of that. Brother Onyechi Ekorono in the chat session just commented, wonderful and inspiring life story. To God be the glory. Someone also, okay, he continued to say, thank you, sir, Bakare. Sister Lillian Ekpe has also sent a comment. Thank you so much. This was quite inspiring. Thank you so much. That is from Sister Lillian Ekpe. So let me, before, if there is any other person that will come up with a question or clarification or comment, let me also call on our mentor so that he can address that question from Wesley Methodist Church, Aja.
What is the name?
Hallelujah. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. My name is Emmanuel Benson from Wesley Chapel, Lekki. I want to ask, honestly, I've been touched by your story.
No.
During your time in Ivory Coast, I want to ask, what kept you going?
Come, John.
In your early days? You know, we youngsters are shadowed by the whole happenings in Nigeria, and at some point it looks like we are ready to just throw in the towel and just get something else going. But then you had the opportunity to come back to Nigeria and do some other stuff. What really kept you going? What was your vibe? What was your ginger during those times? Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to also ask that you stay tuned so that you can have your answer, explain from the mentor. Okay, let me call on Mr. Bakare, our mentor for today, to quickly address these two concerns from our brethren. You're welcome, sir.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. The first question about 5 years of experience, a vibrant question, if I must say. Abroad in the Western world, I'm sure from age 16, you're going to have your NIL.
Multimedia, we cannot hear him. Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, sir.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. I have to take it over again. I said that was a fantastic question. When I started my story, I said I started working from when I was in the secondary school, managing my dad's business, till my time in the university. When I left the university, for me to write my story, I would mention at also age that I've worked for my dad. It will be added to my CV. I didn't just think of working or start working when I left the university. In the Western world, from age 16, the government even encourages you or allows you to start working. As a student, if you go to school abroad, as you are in the university abroad, you still have to, they will permit you to work for 20 hours a day. So I would, a week, sorry. So I would employ our youth to take advantage of the fact that we have a lot in Nigeria that can be done, and everything is not money. So for the fact that you are in the school doesn't mean that you can't work. You are gaining experience, and that experience money cannot buy it. So make yourself available. You can start working before, even from the secondary school. Every holiday, tell your parents to find a place for you to work. In the university, during your holidays, find a place where you can work so that when you are done from the school, then you can write all these things in your CV. That's what they mean by 5 years of working experience, because nobody wants to do any trial by error to employ somebody without any experience, in the organization. The world is moving very fast. So I believe most organizations won't even have time for that. They expect you to have brushed yourself from home before you come to the employment world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The second question, sir.
Yeah, the second question about our chaplain mentioned it. You have to be resilient in life. You have to know what you want, and determination. When I left Nigeria, I left my Nigeria telling everybody that I was traveling abroad, or they already traveled abroad. I was stranded, but I knew that it wasn't the end of my journey. At that point, I saw Ivory Coast as the transit point, not to go back to Nigeria. Coming back to Nigeria means that I'll be a failure. And that's my turn-off point. Till now, I hate to fail in anything I start. So being resilient, and I also believe that, yes, I will achieve my aim. That was what kept me going. So we don't have to look back or to be discouraged, especially as men. You have to know that when you start something, make sure you finish. Otherwise, you become a failure. So journey to life might not be so easy, but at the same time, when you are determined, there is nothing you cannot achieve when you are determined. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have.
Yeah. So, sorry. Once again. Let me go back to the second question. Somebody that pulled out then, because I told you that 2 of us traveled, the other person came back home to manage his father's business. 20 years after, that was when he now decided to leave Nigeria, not to even travel to Europe, to travel to South Africa. He realized that he could not cope. His father died along the line, and also all his father's businesses, the gas station and everything was grounded. It was down to zero. So the step that he didn't take at the right time, he was now forced to take the step 20 years later to travel to South Africa. Till now, he's still in South Africa, struggling for his life. And here I am today. I thank God.
Thank you very much. We thank God for your life. Once again, we have 2 questions. The noise sounds so loud. So can you hear me, sir? Hello, can you hear me?
No, we can hear. He can hear.
The noise there is so much. Okay, we have 2 questions here from the chat session, and one is from somebody using Infinix Smart 5. He says, "My question, thank you, sir, for sharing your trial and triumph with us. What is your advice to a youth who started with a dream of greener pastures, but find himself Okay, let me take it again. What is your advice to a youth who started with a dream of greener pastures, but find himself in a refugee camp and passport seized? Should he still push ahead like you did, or come back to where he started? That is a question from somebody. Another person, that is Sister Lillian, she said, my question is, please, at what point can one be convinced that an idea is not worth pursuing again? At what point can one be convinced that an idea is not worth pursuing again? Those are the two. Okay, we still have a few other questions that are here in the chat session. That is from, I believe it's one of the admin, from James Obason. So how do you know when to persist or move on, especially when confronted with challenges? How do you know when to persist or move on, especially when confronted with challenges? Number two question from the same source. When choosing investments, especially with your advice on side hustles, how do you choose what to spend your time on? Is short-term investment advisable over long-term yield investment as a young person? Right? Number three question says, your advice on marriage when one is settled. Okay, let me take it up again. Your advice on marriage when one is settled. I would appreciate it if we can hear about how and when you decide to settle down to marry your beautiful wife. Okay. Well, I think that is to get more on your experience in marriage. Fourth question. For someone that does a lot of things, how do you manage your time and still become very efficient and effective in everything? For someone that does a lot of things, how do you manage your time and still become very efficient and effective in everything? Number five, which is the last from that source, do you believe in generalization? I mean, having more money than one skill set, etc. Do you believe in generalization? That is, having more money than one skill set, etc. Well, Sister still say, wow, the step you don't take at the right time, you might take it late. Thank you very much. Please, sir, we will allow you to just give us your answers on this question so that we can wrap it up for today. You're welcome, sir. Please, can the multimedia unmute our mentor so that we can hear him?
Go back to me. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Hello?
The question,
Okay, excellent. The first question has to...
Sorry, sir, let me rephrase the last question from the last person. He had just tried to put it more straight. He says, that is from Obasan. He said, do you believe in generalization? That is jack of all trades over specialization. Do you believe in generalization? That is jack of all trades over specialization. Once you finish that question, sir, I will have to bring on the comment from Sir Demola Oladipo, and that will be the probably the last for this session today. Thank you very much. Please, you're welcome, sir.
Yes, can you hear me now? Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you very well.
Okay, excellent. The first question that has to do with somebody that has his passport impounded in a refugee camp. Wasn't that what the question was all about? Oh, yes. Yes. Someone broke it down and mentioned a refugee and all that. I believe that being in a refugee camp should be somewhere in Europe, America, or Canada. You can't be in, while I was in Ivory Coast or in Ghana, I was not in a refugee camp. I was the one that chose to be a refugee. That was my personal decision. I wasn't under any government lockdown and restricted area, but my life was restricted based on my situation. So if you are somewhere in Europe, America or Canada, even New Zealand, Australia as a refugee, they won't keep you there for life. And for them to keep you for that long, meaning that because they will not want to release you to the society without making sure that you have the right document to live there. So refugee camp doesn't mean that you'll be there forever. It's just a question of little time. So for you to have spent some time to leave your country to another country to search for a greener life, you should also be patient until the government is done with you. No matter how long it takes, they are still going to release you one day. They won't send you back home. So backing down halfway, which means that you have lost the opportunity ahead of you. Again, resilience comes in. So I believe that if you're in that situation and you are in the countries that I mentioned, anywhere in Europe, America, Canada, Australia, then you have to please be patient until you are free in the society so that you can either be given the document and right to work, and you can start your life from there. It's never too late. And again, the second question is about investment, when you know whether the investment is worthwhile. In the investment world, especially, it's common that stabilization of every new business is about 4 years. And it depends on the kind of investment that you are talking about. So any investment within 4 years that you are not so sure of what the future lies on, then it might be worth to do it differently. The main thing is that to have something doing. Based on what you are doing, opportunities will come. When I started with plastic chair, of course, after a few years, it didn't work, even from the beginning. But for the fact that I didn't lose hope, because I had the chance to I would have sold the company because I was under pressure, but still I had the chance that, look, something was going to happen. So for the fact that I was in that line of business, that was what happened when the other opportunity came, that I was able to consume the opportunity. Because I bought new machineries, I didn't say that that we bought new set of generators. So they had few things in common, out of which helped me to set up the second line. For the fact that we set up the first company, allowed us to accept the second company. So like I said, the stabilization period for every business or any organization should be 4 years. Within that 4 years, that would have given you the clue to know whether it's worth pursuing or not. And from the same business, you can easily diversify to doing other things. Then I think number 3, the advice on marriage, like I mentioned, especially I didn't say this in relation to women. Women can get married at any time because we are created as men to take about over 50% of their burden. But men, we are not created for women to take our burden. So for you to be the man, to be the head of the family, you must to some in a reasonable extent be stable. There is no point to rush into it. When you are single, as a single man, you can take risk. You can take chances. Like I said, if you're in Nigeria now, then you have the opportunity to go to Japan, you will not think twice. But when you have a wife, one thing that comes to mind is that, oh, how would I leave my wife? And if you are married, if you leave your wife to travel abroad, bear in mind that you don't even know what may be ahead of you abroad. If you are there for several years, they say out of sight is out of mind. A lot of things might come in, to the marriage, either against or in favor. And most of the time, it's always negative. So, and for me, when you are saying married is that when you do the right thing, getting married, of course, I started early, but I didn't get married until I met my wife, the only woman I'm married to, Oladipo Bakare. Thank you. Yes. At the point in my life, I wanted to get married before I met her, but for one reason or the other, it wasn't possible. Because before we met, I was relatively comfortable. I wanted to. But again, I realized that it wasn't my power. I didn't give up. But when we met, within a short, I was a free man. When we met, I didn't have any commitment in terms of marrying with any woman. I never done, that was my very first experience to do traditional marriage, introduction, even court marriage. It was with my wife and not with any other person. And again, at the right time, I was able to achieve, I'm stable in marriage because of what I went through and for the fact that I was stable before I met my wife to get married. Otherwise, maybe reverse would have been the case in terms of marriage. So for men, I would advise that there is no point to rush into it. Bear in mind that, we have a lot to do to stabilize our lives. And I think number 4 question. Yeah, in terms of time management, somebody said maybe jack of all trade. For me, I'm a jack of all trade, but I can tell you that master of everything I do. Yes, I'm a master of everything I do. In terms of time management, when I started the hotel business, I was there every day. I am the CEO, at the same time, a manager. I was there every day coordinating the affair. I may not go there. Sometimes in 2-3 months, I wouldn't go there, but every day, every second, I manage the affair of the hotel. Just because I'm not just sitting back as the CEO, I am involved in the management. Most Nigerian businesses, most CEO, they will feel relaxed. They may not even have a clue about the business, but I'm passionate about the business because that is my dream. And nobody can do it better than the dream holder. So for now, most people that checks into that hotel, they have 3 numbers to call. My number is always the first number. They will speak to me. I will attend to them without even knowing that they're speaking with the CEO. I take reservation. I deal with all the affairs because hospitality hotel precisely has to do with human beings. Sometimes people are not satisfied. When they are not satisfied, they have complaints. They call me first without knowing they are speaking with the owner. We have general manager, we have expatriate, and in they are managing the place. Every staff of the hotel knows that the MD, deals with all the guests, 90% of them. He has access to information. So if something happened, they won't micromanage me. Sometimes when something happened, I call them to notify them first because the information would have reached me. So my presence is not needed there. Same thing with the plastic industry. The plastic industry is in Osun State. We deal with multinational companies. So my attention is not needed there. We have expatriates also coordinating the affairs. I'm around Lagos because most of our big clients are in Lagos. I do the main marketing as the CEO with my wife. She's a lawyer. She's the one that will come up with the proposal for us to deal with companies. We'll renew our contract on a yearly basis and deal with other companies. So my attention is not needed in the factory because everything is working there remotely and they cannot make any sale without my input. And when also a contract is given, it comes to me first. So on that note, wherever I am, I do my business, I do it remotely. So for the fact that initially when I started all these businesses, I invested my time. So right now my time is not really needed in person. So that's where I manage my time till now. But anywhere I am, I coordinate things on the phone, via email, WhatsApp, and I give instruction and I set up meetings. So I don't need to be there in person for things to run based on the way I have started the company. Thank you.
Is that a question or comment?
Yeah. Okay. Someone mentioned.
I have a question from Sir Oladipo. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. I think that's the last question. But before I take that, Sister Gomez commented, "Congratulations, Brother Bakare. And I admire your zeal, confidence, persistence, and exuberance. Interesting presentation." That is from Mr. Gomez. Let me now go straight to the comment and the question from Sir Demola Oladipo. Wow, great inspirational life story. You were homeless for 7 months. You struggled for almost another 7 years before your breakthrough. Presentation and persistence, perseverance and persistence. Congratulations. Even till date, you still work hard, work smart, and still at it despite your high level achievement. Great job. Congratulations again. Question 1. Why are you still working hard? Why are you not just praying and hoping for the best? Did you combine prayer and work, or just work without prayer, or prayer without work? That is question number 1. Question number 2, you mentioned that government frustrated along the line. It seems the government is frustrating everybody. Someone even said, if your wife's soup is not sweet, it is the fault of the government. The noise there is really affecting, please. The noise there is really affecting. Wow. Hello. Okay, can I continue now? Number 2 question is said, you mentioned that government frustrated you along the line. It seems the government is frustrating everybody. Someone even said, if your wife's soup is not sweet, it is the fault of the government. If the sun is too hot, it is the fault of the government. Do we have any role to play in our future? Why did you not depend on government for your success? Another question is, from the same salary comer, how can we as youth become employers like you instead of expecting governments to create jobs for us? Again, we thank God for your life, family, and business. Cheers. That is from Sir Demola Oladipo. So please, you can address these questions so that we can wrap it up for today. Please, you are still muted. Okay,
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, we can hear you, sir.
I'd like to especially say thank you to our leader, our mentor, Sir Oladipo. Thank you for the comment and for the questions asked. Number 1 question says that, why are you still working hard? Well, I think there is a lot more that can be achieved in life. And no matter your level of success, you should still have the appetite to achieve more, especially when you are still very agile, because the span to life is very long. When you are successful and you are not working hard to achieve more success, which means that you may be restricted and you may not be able to explore further opportunity again in life. So for me, every day that I wake up, I want to work hard, I want to work differently and do things differently so that more success can be achieved, and also so that I can retire on time, as you have done so at your age. So when when I'm as old as you, I want to answer and be enjoying my life all over the world, just like you, following your footsteps, sir. And again, your second question about government. There was a time I was a speaker about a couple of years ago in Osun State. I think Sir Oladipo was also invited when they did a summit in Osun State. I was invited as a speaker. At that point, our state governor, unfortunately, just lost re-election last night. Our state governor said, everybody said the same thing, that government doesn't have any business in business. Is a common and classic saying in this country. But I said to my governor in the midst of everyone that I do not agree with him, that the state governor is the CEO of all the CEOs in that state. Because as the state governor, even though you are not directly involved in business, but you are the one that will create enabling environments for businesses to strive. So I said, as a governor and as government, you do have business in businesses, especially under your watch. If you don't provide adequate security, you don't provide basic infrastructures, how would companies strive even under your watch? So you do have, so it is your own duty as the CEO of all the CEOs to ensure all the businesses strives. And whatever they produce in Osun State, you can mandate on your contractors to make sure that everything produced in the state is consumed in that state as well. So as a government, especially in Nigeria, no matter, even though most of us earn our income, 90% of what we do outside the government, still you need to be with the government to shield yourself. Because sometimes opportunity might come. We cannot look away. If we look away and we say governments are not doing the right thing, when would they now do the right thing? It's people in the private sector also that can talk to the people in government to say, look, things should be done in the right way. And it's partnership. Govern the state. Let's also be in charge of the economy so that when people in your state or in Nigeria are employed, the government also will have a good economical balance. So for me, and I think for everyone, we should not look away outrightly from the government, even though we believe that they are not so dependable, if I may say. But still, I believe that you cannot be successful enough in any territory, even in America, without having a little relationship with the government. And again, about maybe your last question about becoming employer. We all have the youth, we all have our skill. We have skills. We can't all be employers, and also we cannot be employees. So growing up, even if you're a graduate or a doctor, but you know how to sew, you can set up a tailoring outfit. If you know how to cook, you can set up a catering outfit. All you need to do is that in every environment, there is always what is called a value gap. Opportunity is just there. You find the value gap and close the gap. For me, a tailor, imagine having a tailoring outfit. If you do things in the right way, of course, you are going to have a lot of clients. When you have a lot of clients, then you are an employer of labor. You are going to have a lot of people also working under you as the head tailor, or you call yourself a designer. If you have a restaurant, that's just the list among the things I can give information to. You start up a good restaurant, you cook good, your food is nice, and people patronize you. Definitely, you are going to be an employer of labor. So don't if you know you have a skill, you can start from somewhere by developing that skill. And when you do things in the right way, that skill is not going to be your dream that you didn't even see, untapped dreams. So on that note, what you enjoy doing, what you know how to do, you can do it well when you establish yourself and when you do it well. And again, my strength is that all my clients, I don't give my competitors reason to take my clients away. I'm so confident because in everything I do, I always do extra. Let me give an example of that extra. Imagine if you have a barber, a very good barber. As men, we all need to tidy up once a week, once in 2 weeks. Imagine you having a barber. Of course, there are millions of barbers around, but a barber that you go to the barber shop, the barber will clean up for you. After that, it will spray your head, give you nice shave. It's very good. He has your contact. Maybe every 10 days, he will remind you, sir, Oga, you haven't come to barb. I think you are due. A barber that is passionate, that is doing things differently, there is no reason for you to meet another barber, to say, oh, you are looking for another. You go to another place if you know that they are disappointing you. Even tailors. We know in Nigeria, tailors, they are the major headache, nightmare. Imagine you having a tailor, you give your tailor a cloth that you can sew in 2 hours, to sew for you, they will hold it for 1 month. But if a tailor can deliver your cloth in 2 days, and obviously nicely made and all that, you don't have a reason to patronize another person with that skill. Anything we do, let us always add extra value. When you add extra value to anything you do, you are not going to lose your clients. And in the competitive world, you'll be confident and you'll be champion at what you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. we have come to the end of the day, so I would like to invite the chaplain for appreciation and also for the closing prayer and benediction. The chaplain, sir.
Hello. So, Reverend Miracle,
yes, sir.
Philip.
Yes, sir.
Are we through?
Yes, sir. We are true, sir.
All right. Thank you very much.
Now I have called on you for appreciation, closing prayer, and benediction, sir.
Okay. Well, we have come to the end of another exciting session of the Mentor today, 17th of July, 2022. We want to thank our guest mentor for the month, Brother Oladipo Bakare, for sharing his experiences so far with us. All the achievements that he's been able to make so far, I believe, are just stepping stones to greater heights for him in life. He has a lot ahead of him, a lot still to give to the society, and I'm sure God helping him, he will still do more. So, sir, we want to thank you on behalf of the Council of Wesley Chapel Lekki, Wesley Methodist Church Ajan, Wesley Methodist Church Awoyaya, and the executives of Youth Fellowship. We say thank you very much. We are highly inspired. We'll especially take the 3 C's, because many of our youth are at that juncture now where they need to make choices. They need to take chances to change their situation. Some of them have asked you questions. I'm close to some of them, and I know where some of them are right now. And I'm sure they are going to draw strength and inspiration from all that they've had, today. Maybe some that were at the verge of giving up, hearing your story, I'm sure a new hope will be, renewed and revived in their lives. So thank you very much for that highly inspirational and insightful presentation. So please let us come together again, 3rd Sunday of every month. Next month is another month for our mentor, and we'll see again. Thank you very much, and thank all our youth, all our fathers and mothers who have joined us, all those who have contributed with comments or questions. We thank you very much. God bless you all. Let us pray. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you, Father, for those with whom we fellowship from time to time, in particular, those that you continue to use to inspire, to motivate us to achieve, the full potentials that you have deposited in us. And so, Lord, we thank you for your son, Brother Oladipo Bakare. We ask that you renew his strength, restore virtue unto him, and pour fresh anointing upon him. Lord, continue to enlarge his coast, establish and prosper the works of his hands. Bless him and continue to make him a channel of blessing to his generation. We pray for his family. Lord, let your peace continue to surround them. Let your protections continue to surround them, and let your love continue to enfold them. Reveal yourself to every member of this family in a new and wonderful way, a wonderful relationship that you want with this family. Father, establish it. At your own time, make all things beautiful for them. Let the lines fall in pleasant places for this family. And Lord, we pray that at the end of their sojourn here on earth, no member of this family will miss his salvation. Thank you, gracious Father. In the name of Jesus Christ, we have prayed. Amen. Let us say the grace together. The grace of
our Lord Jesus Christ,
the love
of God,
and the fellowship,
of the Holy Spirit
be with us now.
Be with us now and forever. Amen.
Thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Brother Bakare. God bless you. Thank you
Grandma.
Miracle, God bless you.
Yeah.
God bless
Thank you, ma. Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon.
Great grandpa for us too.
I will.